So hi, finally. A heartily welcome from my side as well. I'm happy to see that so many of you are joining us today for this symposium. We'll start this symposium as we did in our project. We'll talk about the basics, we'll talk about research. Within the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to present you our so-called super survey, a survey that has been conducted this spring within the framework of the Museum's Toolbox project. Just to give you a rough idea about our project structure and the context of all activities, such as the implemented survey, I'd like to shortly sketch out how we work, before I'll specifically talk about the survey and its results and impact on our project. So, as Katrin has already mentioned, the Museum's Toolbox project is structured in 3 main working phases that build on one another and that correlate with work packages. So we've started with the research phase, and right now we're in between the development phase and the implementation phase. So each partner museum has hosted artist residencies. We've sent our curators and educators on educator visits. We have founded a youth group knowledge pool to implement youth group activities such as workshops. And in 2017, we'll have a traveling exhibition accompanied by a growing catalog and a YouTube channel. Those phases are accompanied by 4 other work packages that actually run throughout the entire project. So we have the project management, the evaluation and quality assurance. We have dissemination, so my colleague Sarah will talk about this later on this afternoon. And we have the exploitation, so behind this project there's the Translocal network. It has the overall responsibility for at least one of these work packages. Moreover, cross-museum committees have been set up that allow us to work on different levels. So each curator, for example, each museum has nominated one curator into the curator team. We also have an educator team, a marketing communication team, and we're working on artist level. The beginning of the project, however, was marked by an intense research phase that should prepare the basis for all further activities. Our aim was to find out more about the concrete needs and necessary support opportunities of a predefined target audience in our local contexts. So all the participating museums in this project identified a common, hard-to-reach, difficult target audience, young people between 50 and 25 years. Why? Because we all had the feeling that people at this age seem to be insufficiently reached by current information and communication approaches on our part. Furthermore, as at this age, interests and desires are in constant state of change. It's hard to figure out what exactly would motivate them to participate, like voluntarily and repeatedly, without being forced to do so by university or school, in different museum programs. As a first step to get answers to this complex issue, the idea of implementing a survey tailored to the specific needs and wishes of our target group was developed. So the key objectives of the survey were to improve knowledge of this target group, to identify new communication channels, and to improve relation and connectedness of our museums in a local context. As a starting point, each partner museum has launched a call to create youth group knowledge pools. My colleague Monica and my other colleagues in the education team will talk about these residences and these youth group activities later on. The survey should have been all about active involvement and enabling young visitors to offer their viewpoint. So when preparing the submission for the EU call 3 years ago, the project steering team decided to build the survey as a real-time inquiry in form of a digital online tool. So together with the marketing agency, this spring a closed online research community was created. To get profound data, we have decided to use a qualitative market research method. Purpose of the planned market research was to find out the wording, so the spoken language of the target group in context with contemporary art, and to encourage the young participants to present their own image of a museum as a toolbox by using integrative creative approach. Our young participants should be enabled to express themselves through diverse creative tasks and exchange opinions and discuss ideas in a closed forum, so to consider the cross-museum international aspect as well. Each museum has invited 10 young people out of the youth group knowledge pools to participate in this online forum. Why 10? Well, actually because of budgetary reasons. And to get enough quantitative data, in addition to the online survey, a short questionnaire has been distributed by our youth groups to 15 to 25-year-old people. And this has been considered in the final evaluation as well. The questionnaire will actually be soon available on our project website. These 50 youngsters participated in our online survey for 3 weeks, and they completed diverse tasks and answered different questions 3 to 4 times a week. To make sure that everybody's staying on track, the forum was moderated by an employee of the marketing agency. Plus, the young people were encouraged by our education team to stay active. Nevertheless, some of our participants dropped off. So one of the main challenges we were facing during the survey was that although the target group has a strong penchant for digital tools, our adolescents were actually more interested in face-to-face actions. So what were the survey criteria? We tried to get more information about the leisure behavior and the interests of our target groups. We wanted to find out more about their communication behavior in general and regarding cultural topics. So how do they communicate? Which channels do they use? How is it possible for museums to arouse attentions, and which messages should be spread? We wanted to find out about their understanding of an art museum. So what does contemporary art mean to them? What kind of issues do they connect with contemporary art? Do they regularly visit art museums? We wanted to hear their desired content and themes. So what kind of content would they be interested in an art museum? And we wanted to hear their ideas for a museum as Toolbox. So what could be the role of an art museum nowadays? And what kind of place should it be in the future? So to give you a better idea how the online forum worked, I'll just shortly show you some screenshots displaying the tasks. As a start, the participants received an email link to enter the forum, and they were invited to create a profile. Then the online forum consisted of 3 main tools: tasks, a forum, and a blog. The task had to be answered individually, where we, for example, asked them via drag and drop about their spare time, their communication behavior, their interests in art museums, and their preferred social media channels. So we've asked them, for example, how do you preferably inform yourself about your free time activities? Which of these platforms do you use? What is contemporary art for you? And what kind of topics should an art museum deal with? We've asked them to rate exhibition views according to their interest, or to tell us about their best museum experience. Furthermore, they were also asked to evaluate pictures from our museums from the out and inside, and to give us feedback on subjects we've used on flyers. So the second module was a forum, where things should be discussed with the other participants from the other museums. Forum topics were e.g. talking about art. So what are the topics you talk about? Where and how do you talk about it? To what extent is a visit to an art museum necessary so that you talk about art? Ancient, contemporary, or foreign art? Should a museum of contemporary art deal with the wider world? Should it just display the local, or should it also display the global and the foreign? Viewing and enjoying or getting active yourself, what do you prefer in an art museum? And how do you imagine a career as an artist? The third module was a blog, where we've asked them to visit the partner museums and write a blog post about this experience. So what about the results? The survey results showed some already anticipated outcomes, but they also revealed some things specifically interesting for our project and its further project activities. I'll now pick out the results that seem to be the most relevant and the most interesting for our project. Concerning leisure activities, our focus group indicated that top priority is given to friends. so the joint experience is very important to them. This also applies to museum visits. So when we've asked them with whom they normally visit museums, the majority answered with friends, followed by with university or school. Friends and family are an incentive to actually visit a museum. So when informing themselves about free time activities, they stated that I talk to friends first. So a positive word of mouth and peers are important multipliers in the local context. Besides talking to peers, our young people are using search engines, social media channels, and websites as information sources. The most important channel to them, according to our survey, is YouTube, followed by Facebook, and then WhatsApp and Instagram. Another relevant issue for them is self-representation, so it's all about finding and representing themselves in picture, sound, and video. So this will be the basis for the development of our communication tools. Concerning contemporary art, again, according to the survey, contemporary art is something that is relevant and discussed in our target group. For them, contemporary art is about leaving the comfort zone and rethinking and interpreting socially relevant issues and topics. It acts as a help to reflect today's society and to understand things better and question everyday occurrences. On the contrary, modern art often leads to misconception according to our participants, because if you don't understand something, you tend to not like it. That's why art museums should encourage some kind of participation in the exhibition by applying interactive concepts. Regarding the museum visit, our young participants generally ask for more interaction and inclusion that enables them to actively engage themselves in the museum context. Interactive activities would hinder people from just rushing through the museum and trigger some kind of reflection process. The overall museum experience is very important to them. So a successful museum visit highly depends, among others, on the guide and the museum staff. Was she friendly? Was she engaged? Did she present the content in an interesting way? Perfect, and they'll probably come back. Other influences like teachers, parents, and again friends are also crucial for a positive perception of e.g. an exhibition. Besides the actual exhibition content, the exhibition offers and again interactivity are very important to these young people. Concerning the content of exhibitions, they seem to have a special interest in photography and installations. So here you can see the exhibition views. They have rated as the most appealing in the first row and the less liked in the second row. Variations to classic exhibitions, so heterogeneous exhibitions that display paintings, sculptures, photographies, and installations together are favored. Exhibitions should always play with the architecture of the museum, so wide spatial concepts for the exhibition space are preferred. An exhibition in general shall convey modernity in order to be successful. So apart from exhibitions, our young people ask for more crafting and artsy workshops, for drawing classes and diverse side events such as film screenings. When asked how they broaden their art experience, most of them answered with events, followed by video and then text. So finally, what does this mean for our project? The desired hands-on focus, as well as the strong preference of motion pictures, will be considered when planning our exhibition on the one hand and the framework, so the education program on the other hand. Our curators will take into consideration that in an exhibition, young people prefer diverse objects and multimedia assets, which make them feel welcome, and which invite them to spend more time there. The joint experience will be considered when planning the educational program. Accompanying to the exhibition, we've planned to publish a growing exhibition catalog and to develop a museum app. But based on the results of the survey, we've decided that we won't make a classic exhibition catalog. It will rather be a journal, a growing journal, wherein information and text should be presented in a playful and interesting, if possible also interactive way. The foreseen app will now more likely be a utopian channel. So we plan to create a how-to YouTube channel about art museum mediation and behind-the-scene clips, with contributions from education and curator team and the youth groups. So I'd like to finish my presentation with a quote from one of our participants. She writes, "It is important how a museum presents its own content. As I believe few people enjoy receiving information by just simply listening or reading text. We tend to utilize all our sensations, tactile, visual, olfactory, oral, etc. to understand things. Therefore, if a museum could enrich the methods in presenting the content to provide a multi-sensory, inspiring and appealing visiting experience, I believe young people will start to love visiting museums as playing video games." So thank you for your attention.